No days of waiting. Behind the scenes, folks. I know y'all are hearing me chat it up saying, I know y'all are waiting. No intro. And y'all know when it's no intro, you can see why. Kenyon there on the screen. I am going to give myself about a 10-second delay real quick, guys, before we get started. I want to see what the stream looks like on my phone because I had to manipulate what you guys are seeing using two different softwares. I had to manipulate it. So, okay, yeah, everything looks good. Let me make sure we can hear. I had to manipulate it. Yep, see, there it is. Y'all got that double audio. All right, man, what's going on, folks? Welcome to the latest episode of what I like to call Terrible Towel Tuesday, but this is the latest and greatest edition of the Steel Table. And for those of you that don't know, I had somebody ask me this question, Kenyon in chat. What is Steel Table? It's just me being creative, man. Like instead of saying round table, it's the Steel Table. That's all. That's all. Very light. I mean, I didn't know if people would miss that, but just a play on words. So anytime you hear me talk about the Steel Table, it's usually myself and Kenyon. Sometimes we're joined with our buddy Tony. And sometimes what we love is when our ladies come through. They know who they are, Debbie, all of the ones that y'all know. Destiny. We ain't talked to Destiny in a while. And let's see. I know she already in here. Watch, I bet you. Nope, not yet. But Lanisha, Sade, they know who they are. Odessa, the lovely ladies are still a nation. And maybe if I miss some of y'all, please forgive me. But we want to get you back, man. I need another show with the ladies, please. So y'all come through. But y'all already know what it's about tonight, man. Let me just give y'all a heads up. Kenya knows this. We don't do any type of pre-pro. We just gonna talk. Y'all know Kenyon and I and Tony have kind of text back and forth, but just to give y'all a little peek behind the curtain, I never pre-pro anything. And honestly, I think even if I was on, say, I'm gonna just say this name because it's one of the biggest ones. Even if I was on First Take, I think if I had a show like that, I would try my style and see how it works. I love real-time reaction, where whatever question I ask or Kenyon asks or whatever, it's a real-time response. Like we might have a general idea where we're gonna go, but we don't do the, all right, so I'm gonna ask this question and then I'm gonna get, no, we just talk. And to me, that makes the best conversation. Kenyon and I have not talked. We've texted, but y'all know anytime we get in front of the camera and that stuff start going, y'all get the best of what we can offer. So that's what y'all about to get. The main topic, of course, the Steelers went trade crazy on yesterday. None of us saw it coming. I don't even know where we want to start, Kenyon. I guess let's start with this, and then we'll break down each piece of it. First of all, what's up to Kenyon? I'm saying that for y'all. I mean, I've been talking to him offline, but man, what was your initial thoughts when you saw the news of the Steelers trading yesterday and then who they traded and what the compensation was and all of the above? So just speak on that first. What was your initial thoughts of just seeing what they were doing yesterday?
I don't want to say I was shocked because it wasn't a shock to it. It was more of a, I think it was initial shock, but then I was like, but we didn't really give up anything. So like in my mind, it was like, yeah, you had to give up Minka, but Minka and Jalen, we can discuss how people feel about that. But to get Jonnu to not give up picks, to essentially say, we're going to go all in this year, try to see how far we get, make a run, and we still straight next year and the year after that. Like, that's how you do it. I mean, let's just be honest. That's how you do it. So I looked at it like it was initial shock, but then it wasn't like a shock like, oh my God, if we don't have this, if we don't have Minka, that's it. I don't think there's anybody on our defense that I feel that way about, besides TJ. And That's it. I mean, I just feel like this isn't your grandfather's Steelers. This isn't my Steelers. This isn't, this is a new generation. And Omar Khan is being the con man, and he dealing them cards. And for everybody that complain and say this and that and this and that, nah, he making moves. Some moves you just, it's chess, man. It's not checkers. So you can't lose your mind off of one thing and think you need this and think you need that. They assess every situation. And let's be honest with you. As long as you batting 350, you're all right. And I would say that Omar is batting 350. He's making some moves. You're not going to get everybody. You're not going to get everybody you want. You're not going to get everything that you would desire. But if you can stockpile draft picks, set up for the future, have a plan, which you can see they have a plan. For those who say they don't, they do. And just roll with that. I'm along for the ride. So initial shock, but kind of I'm cool with, me, I'm not going to get excited about stuff. So I'm always going to be even. So I was cool. It was a good thing. I was kind of happy. And, you saw it was just interesting. So, yeah.
Very interesting, guys, and I'll give you my initial reaction too, and then we'll do Kenyon and I, man. We'll just break down each piece of it, and we're not gonna try to hold y'all too long. Try to get through it. But my initial reaction was kind of like what some of y'all may have seen the video I put up. And thank you, by the way, for those of you that commented. It was a wide range of comments. I always like hearing the different thoughts, and I'm sure we're gonna see them tonight in the comments. Some people was ridiculously upset. Some people were ridiculously excited. And the reason why I say ridiculously, because I do feel like Minka got a little bit of disrespect, and I'll get to that in a moment. But my initial shock was, whoa, Steelers have traded for Jalen Ramsey, because I'm just giving y'all the order of sequence of events. If you were watching the internets, as they say, like I was, it was coming in piece by piece. And it's funny, I always laugh. I tell my wife all the time, I'd be like, man, I'd be texting Kenyon and I'm forgetting. Kenyon I don't know what time he get up in the morning, but Kenyon might be doing something. He ain't paying no attention to that. It's 8 o'clock where he at. It's 11 over here. So as I'm texting him, I'm like, oh, he ain't seen this yet. Because Kenyon usually, he sent us the news. Like Kenyon happen to see something before I do, or Tony, or vice versa. And I was like, oh, Kenyon don't know what's going on. So I got to remember that he might not have seen it yet. But anyway, the way it was coming in, first they said Steelers have traded for Jalen Ramsey. Matter of fact, I don't know if Big Brother Cousin Floyd is in here, but I'm going to read to y'all exactly what he texted me. He said, he sent me the text of, showing that Tom Pelissero was talking about the trade, and he wrote, #1 defense. Then right after that, he said, never mind on the #1 defense, we gave up Minka. So it came in pieces, and I was like, whoa, we trade for Jalen Ramsey. I'm like, okay, all right. Again, y'all remember me last Tuesday saying, I don't know if they're going to do that because, Jalen is an aging cornerback. We already got the aging veteran and Slay. I just remember I made a case for I didn't know if we would do it just off that premise. So then once we did it, I was like, okay, cool. I'm curious to see how he's going to work out. Then I hear about them sending Minkah. And that's where I will admit, I was floored a little bit, not only because of Minkah the person, but I was like, wait. Immediately my mind went to leadership outside of Cam and, TJ. That's all they talk about is the three leaders. And then I thought about communication and the secondary, and then I was like, wait, so what's the plan at safety? Me and Kenyon to get to that. I don't want to jump ahead, but that was my initial question. If we trade Minkah, what do we do now? Do we have pieces already in place? Are they looking to sign somebody? Whatever. Like I said, we're going to get into that. I don't want to step on that part because that's the first piece we'll dissect in a second. Then I saw that Jonnu Smith was included. I said, oh, here we go. Got really excited about that. But yes, was I shocked? Completely. Again, not just because it's Minkah. It's just I didn't see that coming where it appeared to be a player for player. And I'm like, what are the Steelers up to? Why did they trade Minka? It has to be something, right? Again, I hate when a lot of times, some of y'all in the chat, you try to act like you know more than the team. Like, it almost bothers me sometimes. Let me say this, and I don't mean this literally, but I'm gonna just say it as a figure of speech. It almost bothers me a little bit when we say, man, the Steelers are stupid. This organization is not stupid. Think about the team that you root for. There's a lot of organizations that we can say over the last, I'm going to just say Ben Roethlisberger's career, over the last 20 years or so, that we could look at and say they were dumb. I know we haven't won a Super Bowl since, what was the one? Against the Cardinals. I get it. But we're not a dumb organization. So I don't know why we always run right to that. It has to be a reason. I myself, just like y'all, don't know the reason. I don't know why he got traded. I don't know what the plan is, and that's what we're about to discuss, but that was my initial reaction. So I was shocked like everybody else. But the last thing I want to say before we dive into what the trade means, some of y'all are real disrespectful to Minka, man. I was seeing some crazy stuff. Some of it in my comments in the other video. Y'all really don't, and I mean this respectfully, a lot of y'all don't really pay attention to down for down, play for play, game for game. So many people are fixated on, oh man, he ain't having one interception. Yeah, but I get it. He didn't have as much splash as we saw when we first signed him. See, that's where we got duped. Remember, he was a turnover machine for very first year. He turning people over in his first game against San Francisco. And see, I was at the game against the Colts when he took that joint 96 yards. Me and Big Brother Floyd, we was there. And I'm screaming, and my voice still hoarse from that day. But because y'all don't see that, it's like people literally said how trash Minka has been the last 2 years. And I'm like, hold on, man. Y'all don't realize what else he's allowed us to do, what he takes away, what he helps us with. Not saying he's perfect, because, again, me and Kenyon about to get into that, and I'm sure Kenyon is going to give probably even deeper analysis when he talks about the two players. But we're not going to act like Minka hasn't been solid for us, other than, okay, he doesn't have a lot of interceptions. But how many can we name? 5 safeties in the league right now in the last 3 years that have a bunch of interceptions? I mean, like, let's say 6 per year, where you guys would feel like that was enough production. You see what I'm saying? I think we still fight that Troy Polamalu thing. We had the greatest on that team, so we always comparing it to that. Same thing at receiver. We had one of the greatest playing receiver for us, so we're always. But I don't want to get too far off the point, but. All right, Kenya, let's break it down, man, because I'm putting myself, I'll even say, on blast. And my question was, how do we compensate for that production or the player? What is Jalen Ramsey going to be? Unbeknownst to me, I admit, I didn't realize that Ramsey had been playing in the slot a little bit, particularly last season. I didn't realize that. That changes things. But I'm going to throw it to Kenyon. How do we move on? Who's going to play free safety? What's the plan now?
I mean, you have to ask yourself this question I'll pose to you, and I pose to the chat. Would you rather have 3 cornerbacks, one that could specifically play the slot, and have a weaker safety, free safety, or have an elite free safety, which you could argue Deshaun Elliott was playing just as good as him? Not taking nothing away from Minka.
Yeah. Outplayed him last year, possibly.
Right, possibly. So if you have that, as opposed to having what you would have now, and it immediately changes the defense. Because now I know by them getting Jalen Ramsey, the Steelers will be blitzing a lot. They're going to blitz a lot because it allows them to basically just play man a lot You're not going to see as much of that cover 3 that we saw. You'll see it, but it won't be you won't see it as much because they're going to be able to, because Jalen won't play outside corner. They're probably just going to put him in the slot. That's why you get, you know what I mean, have those two, you'll have those 3, and then you can have Thornhill back there. You know, on certain dime coverages, you can put Jalen Ramsey at free safety and do that. And, you know, kind of make your defense really multiple. Also, that allows Benny Bishop can do blitzes. They can I just think the defense is going to be way more aggressive than it has been the last, quote unquote, 3 to 4 years with Minkah back there. And I think it's the non-appreciation for what Minkah takes away that I think fans don't understand, which is
right.
That's the dirty part. The fact that while he's back there, teams don't want to run certain things. They don't want to run certain because you don't want to throw it over there by Minkah. So essentially, what teams did was try to take Minkah out of the play, because if we don't do this, we can beat them this way. So, but I think if you're asking me, the question I would say is, what is better, having those 3, and we can talk about the merits of Jalen and Minkah and who's better at this point in their career, or having Minkah. And then you have to still try to think about having Benny Bishop as your slot. I like Benny Bishop, but is Benny Bishop going to cover tight ends, Kelsey's, all those tight ends that the Steelers get constantly killed by, in certain games? The Baltimore Ravens have multiple tight ends. Now we have multiple tight ends. That's the fashion right now. That's the fit. If y'all want to keep it current, that's the fit right now. The fit is getting you some tight ends to have matchup problems with everybody else. So you don't really, the number two receiver issue, I'm not even thinking about that. You know why? Because what they're gonna run is a matchup problem. So Jonnu, Pat, and our big tank, Washington, D-Wash, come on, man. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Aaron Rodgers is gonna love that.
Yeah.
And he's gonna love DK on the outside. So just like us, when we coming off the bus, we intimidate. I'm just saying, walking off the bus with them big boys, you intimidate. But I would just say, I'm just asking, I'm posing that to the chat. Which would you rather have? Minkah with a question mark at slot, hoping Benny get better, still running the same defenses, not really taking risk on blitzing, having Jalen, because they'll blitz Jalen and he'll get there. So I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at the whole picture, the way I'm looking at it. So I think I like what they did. I think it's a bold move. I think you got to make bold moves. Omar Khan is trying to be different. He's trying to win. He's trying to win and set himself up for the future. And I don't want to use a basketball analogy, but he's kind of doing what Oklahoma City's doing. Think about it. You win, and you have all these multiple picks for the next 8 years. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to be good for the next 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you do it. I like it.
Man, I want to reply to that in just a second. We got some Wonder Bread here. Hold on, guys. Infamous Tim, round of applause. Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. And I'm going to respond to your comment, but I'm coming right back to Kenyon because I definitely want to respond to that because Kenyon poses a great question. But Tim says, say what you will about KP8, Kenny Pickett, but I would rather have gone all in with him. He was a first-round quarterback on a rookie deal, or wait until we drafted another QB. I like the moves like this. He says, just wish our window was longer than 1 year. Yeah, I mean, I get the sentiment with the whole Kenny Pickett thing. Man, I just think that, again, none of us know concretely, but I think they weren't really seeing what they needed to see from him, bringing a veteran perhaps to win now and groom Kenny. Kenny didn't want that. He asked for a trade. So that's how that went. You see what I mean? So it's hard for me to say that they didn't go all in because we don't know the ins and outs. Kenny definitely was disgruntled. We saw that, even how he tried to act like it was nothing to see here, watching Mason Rudolph have success. His attitude didn't match up. Now, again, to his credit, I don't know what the coaching staff and all that was telling him, but he didn't carry himself like he was going to be the leader, and saying the right things and having the right attitude. And once they decided to bring in Russell Wilson, he's like, I'm out of here. So, but I get your sentiment. Man, guys, Kenyon got me, because I'm going to throw a name out there and just to put a name in his analogy. So what Kenyon is essentially saying is, no disrespect to this guy, but y'all going to know where I'm going. Would you rather have this group of cornerbacks playing with Mike Mitchell? Or would you rather have a stud free safety and you're still trying to kind of figure it out at corner? You got your number one, essentially the number one guy going into his third season, still handsy. And then you got a veteran, Super Bowl winning veteran coming in there, older. And then you trying to figure it out with the rest of the guys, with the Beanie Bishops and all of that. Or would you rather have Ramsey, proven, physical, big corner, to play alongside Joy Porter Jr., still have Slay, who can still play, and sounds like they're going to try to find a way for all three of them to play, like Kenyon said. And I'm hearing, rumblings of saying they might move Ramsey inside. And then you kind of piecing it together on the back end with, I don't know if any of those guys are Mike Mitchell, but y'all get where I'm going with that one. With having a guy like Thornhill, or even I've seen some people already saying, oh man, we good. We got Sebastian Castro. And I'm like, this dude ain't played it down. We don't know what he gonna be. So I might have to yield to the idea of having better play at the cornerback positions and having decent play. Let's say a Ryan Clark on the back end. Ryan Clark didn't make a lot of splash plays, as far as actual splash, but he was effective back there. He kept the lid on things. I, for one, still believe if he was playing in Denver instead of Ryan Monday, DT, God bless, doesn't score. I don't think Ryan Clark would have been out of position to give up that slant, because Ryan was kind of sound because he had to make up for his lack of ball skill. But that haunts me till this day with the Tebow thing. I'm like, man, if that was Ryan Clark, man. But anyway.
That was your boy, though. That was your boy. That was your boy, Ike Taylor, man.
Yeah,
man.
Ike was cheating.
Ike Taylor, man.
He was cheating on the outside.
So, if Ryan Clark would have been there, he still would have got burnt. If that's Ike Taylor right there, because he got burnt. Ike Taylor's time. Look, man.
Burnt bad, too.
I won't get in it. That's how bad that
man. My bad. Ryan Monday didn't have to catch a stray like that. But yeah, man, that's a good point. And I wonder what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me see if anybody is talking about it. It's one of those things, man, where you can't have greatness at every spot. It's like it's one of those things. I don't see anybody really covering it. Oh, hold on. Dr. Trey 88 says Minka could never cover up everything. Give me a QB. Okay. And that's true. I'll speak strictly to that point right there. And Kenyon already referenced it, the single high. We played so much of it, man. Minka was pretty much in compromise on every play, whether it was cover 3 or cover 1, and he in the center. Because y'all saw what most teams did against us. They hit us on them skinny posts or the quick slant because we would bail out, especially in cover 3. We'd bail and we'd open up to the outside and give how many times y'all heard me complain after the game, like, dog, why do we give them the inside when you only have one safety? Now, again, there's been defenses in history that they can do that. Seattle was pretty good with that. But they had them big dogs on the outside. Like, they won't just, say what you want about Richard Sherman, but they won't just beating Richard Sherman to the inside just like that. Nor, what was the other big boy over there? Browner? Was that the other corner? Like,
yeah.
But with us, we always bail and we give up the inside, and it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5. Or the teams will go max protect and they hit us with the post, and you got Minka trying to figure out which side to cover. Like, it's not an easy job by any means. I'm not sitting here trying to say, guys, it is very hard, I imagine, to be a free safety in the NFL. When you got Jamar Chase coming at you and T. Higgins on the other side, now you're trying to figure out, and you got Joe Burrow able to look him off. Come on, man. But because of that, it made it seem as if Minka wasn't doing much. So, yeah, I think I might have to agree with what Kenya said, man. If you can give me a situation where my defense has 3 solid corners, 2 in which are big and could probably be more physical and play more of a lockdown style. No, they're not going to stop everything. But again, they make it tough. I would take that over having the dynamo free safety.
And you have to remember, basically teams were attacking our stomach, using a part of your body analogy. Yeah. They were attacking our stomach by just going over the middle. Like, every time we play Kansas City, I'm just going to be honest, I was like, we can't beat Kansas City because we can't stop their tight ends. And the Ravens basically drafted specifically tight ends to attack our belly. They wanted to expose that part of us, run the ball, get tight ends matched up with corners that can't cover or something like that. And all that stuff is things that, I think they've kind of addressed. And also another point to this whole thing with getting Ramsey, it just adds depth to the corner position. Because now you have those 3, Bishop, Trice, you know what I mean? So you have a replacement big corner with Trice, who they love Trice. So they want him to emerge. And then you have the kid we got from free agency. We have all those corners, and that depth is there. Similar to you build your corners up, and that's how you do it. And Thornhill was a good player. He just never fulfilled his super expectation, but he was good in Kansas City, and he can make plays. And if he's healthy, he could be serviceable. And like I've been telling people, Steelers will draft a safety next year in the draft because that draft is loaded. So they may address that. They might have been looking at it like that. And another thing people aren't talking about is that, the communication issues within the defense. And, people want to say some of it could have been Minka, some of it could have been Sutton, but they were all at fault with their communication issues in the secondary, being in the wrong spots. How many blown coverages where Minka's looking up, waving his arms pointing at somebody else, and vice versa, that happened in the game. So, in totality, they probably assessed that whole situation and looked at it and Jalen Ramsey isn't old. He just turned 30, he's not old yet. So it's not a Joe Hayden situation. It's kind of like Jalen Ramsey has the tools to transition to safety at some point. He's that talented as an athlete. So they can they look at him, he's not even listed as a cornerback. He's listed as a cornerback/safety. So maybe he just transitions to that, and in certain sets, you just see him in the slot, and they're trying to get people on the field in waves, similar to what Philly did, where it's just waves of people coming at you, and that depth just makes you a hard team to beat. And if our running game is great and Troy Fautanu is healthy and he becomes what people thought he was, and before the injury they thought he was the best lineman on the team as a rookie. So if you have that and you can get our running backs, Jalen Warren, Johnson, get all those rolling.
Yeah.
With those tight ends and those sets, come on, man. Look, the trailer looked like when we first got the trailer looked bad. But I done seen the third trailer and the trailer looking great. So I think I'm gonna purchase my tickets. I don't know about y'all, but I'm about to purchase my tickets. So I'm feeling it.
If you had to guess, and we're just speculating, folks, we don't know nothing. But I'm going to ask Kenyon and I'll give my thoughts. If you had to guess, how do you think they will approach replacing Minka? Is somebody already on the roster? You know, are they considering Thornhill, or would they consider? And I don't think so, but I know even Deshaun Elliott has played deep safety before in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think, if we just had to guess at it, how do you think they are looking to replace the position and or player production?
I think if Thornhill was healthy, he would get the first crack. So you would have Thornhill, Deshaun Elliott, and you're right, Deshaun Elliott is versatile. So I don't know where you put him. They're just listed as safety. Thornhill is more of a, I don't know how much in the box they could bring him down, but I just think the defense will attack. So if they're attacking and you have Jalen Ramsey, and I think in certain dime sets, you would have Ramsey as a safety.
Safety, yeah.
Sets, you know what I mean? And you can do that too. And I think that you can attack. And, you know, I think it eases the pressure on Porter. I like Thornhill getting a shot. And, you have to roll what you got, but the loss of Minka won't be felt as much as if Jalen Ramsey is Jalen Ramsey and he can take away tight ends and do that type of stuff in the slot, and you can blitz him in the slot, and he can tackle in the slot. You know what I mean? He's willing to tackle. So all these things are things that the upside, because if you're just arguing who's the better player at this point, you know, you can make an argument for both. Ramsey's the playmaker, Minka's the playmaker, but who's the best fit and what kind of defense are you trying to run?
Yeah.
And I think the Steelers have seen with Minka on the defense, how the defense looks, and they might have been sitting back saying, "Yo, we can't play that defense where we're just giving up 5 yards on first down, playing off all the time. We kind of want to play more man." Couldn't play man a lot last year because you had Dante Jackson on the other side. Now, I mean, you need two guys who can man up. And I think what I saw from what they did, that I think they're trying to make a little transition in the defense to be more of an aggressive attacking defense, not rely on that front four. Still got it, but you got depth on the line. Look, we got the best defensive line on paper in the league.
Yeah.
Just look at paper. So you have to look at it like, I like what they're doing. You can see the structure of what they're doing, and I'm really liking what they're doing. But it doesn't matter unless you produce, and injuries are part of it. But so far, yeah, I like it. I'm with it. Can't wait.
Yeah, and you have to be willing, guys, and I'm going to answer my own question too, but you have to be willing to see what's next. Because again, that's why I purposely did my reaction video yesterday, because just like how I do during the season, that was essentially my post-game knee-jerk reaction. Like, what? But then as I had time to think about it, I'm like, all right, now that it's done, okay, how do we attack it? Can they get the same type of production with one or two players, or did we become more versatile? And that's when I started looking at it. And I thought about Deshaun Elliott, and then I'll say, well, wait a minute. Me personally, again, they know more than I do. Trust me, because they don't sit down here in the basement and talk. They're actually doing it. But I said, well, wait, I don't know if I want to move Deshaun. Deshaun Elliott got his extension because of where he played at with us.
Yep.
That was what it was for. I don't want them. Remember 2 years ago when I was beefing about why do they keep moving Minka? Leave him in the post. Y'all remember me doing that? I feel the same way about Deshaun Elliott. Don't take him away from what he did greatly for us. Papers wise, I'm not even going to say on paper. Eye test, he showed up more, and it's not a slight, but he showed up more than Minka did. It was something that we could say every game. Now, Minka did what he was supposed to, but what I'm saying is Deshaun Elliott was showing up, and it was because he was playing strong, opposite of Minka. So I don't want them to, oh, well, he's versatile, we can put him. No. Let him do what he got signed for. And maybe you could get that other production out of Thornhill, and maybe a guy like Castro, maybe Ramsey. And do I believe that that's possible? I will say yes, because the Steelers was flirting with that a little bit with Cam Sutton. They let him play a little safety, so it's definitely possible that they'll do it with Ramsey. And I'm going to be a wait and see, guys. I'm not going to I never try to get too high or too low. Again, I'm going to give you my knee-jerk reaction like every human, but I try to stay level-headed and say, all right, it's done now. Now let's see what we do. How is it going to look? So we'll see, man. We'll see. You think they go get Simmons or anybody like that? That was my last question about that. You think they go get somebody on the outside, or they feel like they got enough pieces?
You mean on offense or defense?
On defense. Yeah, because people are saying, go get Justin Simmons for free safety.
I mean, I guess you could if you want to do that. I mean, I guess you could. I just, you don't want to start maddening this team, man.
Right,
you know
right.
What I'm saying? You just don't want to just start putting people on there. You start saying, well, let's go get this person, and that really never works. So you have to get people that best fit what you're doing. They got Thornhill. If Thornhill is healthy, man, look, man, he's won a chip. He knows how to win. He's been there. He was great in Kansas City. The injury slowed him down, but I think it's going to be by committee. I agree with you with Elliott, but I think Jalen Ramsey wipes a lot of those ills out of the way, because as much as Minka would play the slot, he never really liked playing the slot.
No,
he never really. It was not something he enjoyed doing. Jalen Ramsey kind of likes playing the slot. He's cool with either way. I actually think Jalen Ramsey has lost a step playing cornerback
on the outside corner. Yeah, I agree with that.
But if you put him in the slot, I like my chances. And another thing people have to realize is that this will be year two. We have linebackers that can cover, and I'm not even talking about Queen. I'm talking about Peyton Wilson and who we just got back off an injury. Our other
Holcomb. Yeah.
Holcomb, Wilson, Jalen Ramsey, Benny Bishop. They put a small receiver in the slot. I mean, you have to look at the picture. They put a small slot in there. You put Benny Bishop in there sometime. You know what I'm saying? Benny Bishop is going to get better. I like Benny Bishop because he's just grinding. And that's why I wasn't as hard on him as other people would have been, because he's a rookie. Rookies get burned. Sorry.
Yeah.
Veterans get burned.
Veterans, yeah.
You can use Jalen Ramsey example. Jalen Ramsey, who was at the time was maybe the best corner in the league. Juju Smith-Schuster. We remember that game.
Oh yes, Lord. He got both of them boys.
Got both of them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying. So I have like a different outlook on certain players, and we don't know what Castro is going to be. He's an undrafted. We don't know. So we won't know until camp. So I think Thornhill gets the first crack. I like Thornhill there. And if he can stay healthy, look, if we can be more aggressive, and we can just blitz and get more blitzes, bring in 6, and have faith that our men can cover their receivers down the field, especially against teams like Cincinnati, Kansas City. Not even so much the Ravens. The Ravens have tight ends, but Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, like they exploit that stuff. That's what they're looking for. You know what I mean? Burrow doesn't want to get hit, so we try to get rid of the ball. And so and they usually put number 5 in the slot on certain sets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's a matchup problem. So look, I just look at the big picture, and I'm not excited, but I'm just a little bit more, you know what I mean? The positivity is going up, you know what I mean? So, hey man, I kind of like what it is. Sometimes you got to give up something to get better.
Very true.
Just keep it real.
Real quick, man. Wonder Bread again from CT Pittman. Appreciate that, brother. Round of applause. And what CT is saying, I don't think we can argue with. He says, we got 2 all-pro cornerbacks teaching Joy Porter Jr. and Trice. Come on, man. I'm hyped about that aspect. Yeah. I really hope, man, and it's good to hear. I mean, of course, what else is he going to say? But it's good to hear Slay say in, mini camp that, he definitely wants to work with Joy Porter Jr. and give him all the tutelage and all that. Yes, man, because Joy, his measurables, even his aggressiveness and all of that, if he could just harness it, like if he could get to where he's not as handsy, I don't really have a lot of problems with Porter. I really don't. And like Kenya said, I'm not going to be like some people in the chat. I know I'm talking about some of y'all. Every time they get a ball caught against them, oh, man, dog, every corner, Dion got scored on. It's impossible to shut somebody down.
Cooked. Dion got cooked. Get the score on. He got cooked.
Yes.
Like, go watch Jerry Rice. Go watch Michael Irvin.
It's going to happen.
You can argue he's the best cover corner in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
Everybody gets cooked.
Everybody. But just give me consistent play, man. Give me a guy that I can throw out there and say, all right, it's you or him. And you going to win some, you going to lose some. And if Joy Porter Jr. can get rid of the penalties, man, I think he could be special. I think he could really be special, man. But he's got to get that under control. And hopefully, like you said, CT, maybe those guys, man, can help him out with that aspect. Moving on to the next topic really quick, guys. We got to talk about Jonnu Smith. I'll be really brief with it. Definitely want to hear Kenya's take. We talked about this a few weeks ago when we thought that came up. There was a rumor out there saying, oh, the Steelers might be in the market. And then when, what's his name, Parham got hurt, then we like, oh, okay, they do got to go get another tight end. Kenyon mentioned something that I didn't really talk about, but we essentially did get him for nothing. We really did. I mean, he came as a package deal. The Steelers gave away in terms of draft picks a 5th round 2027 pick. So we mess around and get Smith for literally nothing. And I'm telling you right now, you go back and look at Aaron Rodgers' history and just look at the times that he's played out of 12 personnel, 13 even. And I came on here that week when we heard rumors about the trade, and I said, hey, man, I kind of went back and looked at how this dude played in Miami. Wow, I kind of forgot that he was that type of tight end, like a more of a receiver / tight end type. That with Aaron Rodgers and Pat Freiermuth and DK Metcalf on the outside, and whether it's Calvin Austin, Wilson, Robert Woods in some scenarios, I like that. With Jaylen Warren and who I think this dude gonna come in his rookie year. Caleb, I'm telling you, man, Caleb Johnson's gonna have an impact first year.
Yep.
With Aaron Rodgers, I understand he's 41. I get it. But Aaron Rodgers can still play. That's the thing. Y'all know I was against it because I would prefer us to just start rebuilding and take a shot every time at a quarterback if you have to until you find one. But now that he's here, I like the way that sounds. He's going to utilize the middle of the field. He's going to utilize the tight ends. And Jonnu Smith already knows the system, already knows Arthur Smith. I'm not upset about that at all. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what that offense will look like out of 12. And ain't that funny? Y'all heard me all season, all last year. Man, we need to stop. We need to go 11 sometimes just to put a threat out there. I ain't got nothing to say this time. Not with a dude like that. I'm just talking about route running, guys. I'm an honest YouTube commentator. I don't know what he is as a blocker and all. I don't know. I'm just talking about watching his receiving ability, his quickness, his speed as a tight end, and just, I would say, I don't know if I'm disrespecting by saying this. He's kind of an older, what I would imagine Kyle Pitts should become. So we kind of getting an older version of that, if you will, a more veteran. I take that any day with Aaron Rodgers. So I love that part of it. I don't think we're talking enough about that side of the trade and focusing too much on Minkah. But what you think, man?
Yeah, I liked it. I told you. I like to when we were talking about it earlier, before it even happened, weeks ago, me and you were texting, and Tony was texting about it back then. I was like, yo, I like Jonnu because he immediately becomes the best route runner of the tight ends on the roster.
Yeah.
And it's just so much you can do with him. Not a great blocker, but look, man, you can flex him out. In 3 sets, you can flex him out and just have DK, Jonnu, and whoever third receiver is going to be, whether it's, Calvin Austin, like you said, Roman Wilson, who I think Aaron Rodgers is going to feed a lot. People not talking about that. I think Roman Wilson is going to surprise people. And I just think that it's a great fit. It's a great shot to get 2 for 1. And, Khan is, like I said, Khan be cooking. And us black folk know what that means. But, you know what I'm saying? It's that's what he was doing. It's kind of like you watch it, you say to yourself, hey, I like that. And, let's see how this plays out. And I just can't wait to see it. I think Sims ready to move on. Let's do this. Let's try to do this and try to get quarterbacks every year. I think when you're sitting in the office and, Sim knows this because he manages people, sometimes it's the best bet is to not make a move.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to chill out and, let stuff marinate and let stuff build and see what your options are because options change,
Yep.
By the day a lot of times. So I just like what they've done for all those who are naysayers and this and that. And, you can't listen to the pundits, the people on TV who are outside the organization talking about the Steelers because they don't know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like you have to be able to look at the whole picture, and I just can't wait to see it. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, they gel, chemistry, and look, man, on paper, look, bruh, Steelers could be a problem, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna say about that. They could be a problem, and a real problem. So, yeah, love it.
They out there calling the Steelers. People calling them the retirement home. Listen, and Kenyon will love this reference because Kenyon is big on ball as well. I've walked in gyms and courts on Saturday when I used to go play basketball and stuff like that. And you looking at them dudes is like 7, 8 years older, and you're like, oh man, we gon' yeah, all right. And they run us off the court. And when I say run us off the court, I ain't saying I'm no great basketball player or nothing. I can hold my own, but these cats, dog, that's sometimes that old veteran, them dudes who've been there, done that, you better be ready for them if you're a young boy. So youth don't always win out. Sometimes when you got experience, so hey, like he said, Jalen Ramsey might not be the same as he once was, but he's crafty. So a young receiver got to be able to deal with that strength. Like, it kind of, you got to remember, man, this dude was that dude at one time. Like, he ain't just lose that. He's still feisty.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers can still play some football. He ain't Aaron Rodgers. He ain't the one who beat us in the Super Bowl. However, he can still play. You know what I'm saying? So if we protect him, you ain't telling me that you don't, like I said this before, you're not telling me that Aaron Rodgers can't play at or be above the level of quarterback play from last season.
Yeah. He's not making the throws he made in that Super Bowl, but he can do it sometimes. I mean, he's not throwing that ball we threw between Troy and Brian Clark.
Man.
It was nothing he could do. They was his position. It was just like he just threw a better ball, So it's just kind of like, but he can do that sometimes, and I think that's the positive of the situation at his age. So
I ain't seen many quarterbacks throw like he did in that Super Bowl, man.
Nah.
I can still see that pass to Jordy Nelson over William Gay. And Gay was actually in a good spot. It just, that boy was, I don't know, man. He had the ghost of Brett Favre with him in that game. Like, he was, tonight, I'm showing everybody that we out with Favre, in with me. He just won't gonna stop him in that game.
Nah.
He ain't that, but he can still play. Go look at some of his best plays from 2024, and it might surprise you.
Yep.
But
still do it. So,
like Kenya said, man, listen, y'all know, again, whether I'm high or low on something, once it happens now, I'm rocking with it. This is what the team is going to be. So I'm not going to spend another day being upset about it. Again, it was a shocker because y'all know I like Minka. Y'all know I went to bat for Minka. But, I say it to y'all all the time, so I had to say it to myself. Hey, don't forget, you date the players, you're married to the team. I had to say that to myself, like, yeah. Speaking of which, I guess we can wrap up with this. This is interesting. I'm not even going to say what are the chances, because I think this doesn't happen. I think a deal gets done. However, how you feeling about, man, the possibility of TJ Watt really being disgruntled, and let's just say somehow the Steelers trade TJ Watt? My question would be, if that were to happen, how would you feel about it largely? And then 2, what would the compensation be? Because I see a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, we could get this, we could get that. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we could do good, but I'm not sure I know what the trade compensation would be for a TJ Watt at this stage. But I don't know how I feel either about him potentially not being a Steeler. But what you think about that, man? Even though I think that deal gets done, but what if in a few weeks or whatever, we here talking about that?
this is how I feel about it. This is how I feel about it. And I send you pictures all the time with the little Steeler emojis. This one, I'm about to do the one that I send you and Tony all the time.
Yeah,
that's
man.
I'm not even thinking about it, man.
Yeah.
It's not even a thought about Bray. TJ's gonna resign to a long term. He's probably gonna be the highest paid defensive player. I'm not even really thinking about it. They have enough cap to do it, and it's not even gonna hurt them. Yeah. So it's just, as I said before, when you have nothing to talk about, people would just go off of any story. TJ's always he's always kept everything in house. He's always kept it, about the Steelers, about the team, and doing whatever. And I think what he's seeing, that the moves that they're making, he should be even more excited. I don't even think it's about money. I think it's about he's trying to get the right deal, because it's probably going to be his last big deal. So
that's all.
Come on, man. He's just cashing out, and that's going to be it. And, it's I'm not going to think about it. It's not something I think about. I think TJ's going to be here. I think he's going to retire as Steeler like Cam Hayward. I think Cam Hayward and TJ Watt will retire as Steelers. Can't say that about everybody else, but I think they will. And, it's a non-story.
Yeah.
I don't know what your compensation would be for somebody like that, because certain teams wouldn't view him the same way as maybe Pittsburgh does.
That's a tough one.
Your value goes by who wants you, and what that team may look at you as, how they perceive you. So, I ain't worried about you. Keep you there.
I ain't worried about it either, man. I think he gets signed. Just to reply here to Jack Bauer, he says, a big contract for TJ will not age well. Let me just say this. And I mean, I've said this many a times, but a lot of times I'll repeat things because you never know. Probably new people watching. What I learned a long time ago, I'll say at least 8-10 years ago, I learned to start paying more attention to the business, right? And I'm going to just say a side comment really quick, because I saw Dave Bryant from Steelers Depot was, kind of replying to somebody on Twitter earlier, and, people were getting on him like, oh, why you keep talking about the amount of cash that the team needs to spend, And he said something profound. He said, listen, I know some of you guys feel like I'm talking out of my butt or what have you, but he was like, when I start understanding all of that, it helps me to be able to do what I do on Steelers Depot. Like, He learned the business. He learned what, the cash spending limit and most teams gotta want to be at, and all of the cap and all of that stuff, and it helps him be able to report and predict. So I will use what he said to say this as well. We always get emotional and, oh man, I wouldn't pay this guy this much, and da-da-da. It's the market, y'all. It's the market. It's the market. Look at Myles Garrett, and that's kind of the number that they're looking at. What has Cleveland done since Myles Garrett has been there? Nothing. But you can't, I guess some people will say, well, that's my point. But no, when players are performing the way they're performing, it don't matter what team they on. That is the market. That is the same reason why homeboy at Cincinnati, what's my man's name, Hendrickson, is beefing with them. Like, dude, I led the league at sacks. Y'all ain't trying to give me no money down the street. Miles, it's the market. And you can't play. It's what's that saying? The whole, you got to pay to play. You can't be in this business and just be, we're going to be cheap. You can't. Nobody ever knows if you're going to win a championship, but you have to pay these players where their value is across the league. We learned this in school, y'all. The grading, the curve, that's what the market is. The Steelers can't not go to TJ Watt and pay him that. And I guess what you might be saying, Jack, is, well, I wouldn't pay him that much. Yeah, but now, then we right back to whether you hate or love TJ Watt, you don't pay TJ. TJ goes somewhere, right? Say he gets traded. Now we back to being like, oh man, we need a premier pass rusher. We right back to that. Because what y'all would do is y'all would do to Alex Highsmith the same thing y'all did to Juju. Matter of fact, y'all did that. Remember a season or so ago when TJ got hurt? All of a sudden, Highsmith was trash because he wasn't putting up the sack numbers. That's what y'all was saying. Oh, man, this dude ain't no. So which way is it? You see what I'm saying? When you have a great generational player, you can't just move off of them because some of y'all think TJ's not worth it. Why not? Yeah, he's gotten injured here and there. I get it. But look at his numbers across his career compared to the other guys. And that is why he demands that. But like I said, Jack, my point, I kind of got off it a little bit, is I started realizing that probably about 8 to 9, maybe 10 years ago, I'm like, all right, let me start understanding the financials and all of that. And it helps with my opinions of stuff. So I don't get so emotionally attached anymore to be like, why would you do that? It's the same reason why I knew the Steelers was going to draft a quarterback when they drafted Kenny. None of us really wanted them to, really, but I knew they were going to do it. They had to. They could not go another year with at least taking a dart and throwing it at the wall to see if it was going to stick. Like, right. That was, see, that's rapper brain, y'all. See, just be doing it. Just be doing it, man. But. So, yeah, man, TJ.
That's what it comes down to. It's business. It's business. What Sim knows is he deals with it all. He's a man. He knows this. It's business. You have to pay the player market value for what they are worth in the current market. Yep. That's it. Because here goes the hypocrisy, the irony of the whole situation. You don't pay TJ. You say we don't need. We can't pay him that much. You let him go, right? 2 years later, you're saying, we need a premier pass rusher. The Steelers are cheap.
Yep.
Which is it? You know what I'm saying? You gotta pay certain players, you gotta pay your pillars. And that's just the reality of the situation. TJ's never been unreasonable. They're trying to help him get to the next level. And part of it, when you get that type of money, it is pressure on you. I mean, there's pressure on Myles Garrett, but Cleveland's never won anything. So It's a different type of pressure. TJ's pressure is, hey man, I'm trying to be in the room with Mean Joe Green, Joey Porter, Troy. I want to be in that room so when I come back to the Steelers reunion, I can say I got one. Because let's be honest, It's levels to this. I don't care how great you are. There's levels to this.
Yep.
And I don't want to use an analogy that LeBron tried to flip ring culture, which is, we know why he did that. But, it's, look, you got to win the chip. You got to win chip. Look, Dan Marino was my song of my life. I cannot put him ahead of Joe Montana. I can't put him in the same room as Tom Brady. I can't do it. I can't do it. Because he never won. And football, to me, is the hardest sport to try to win. Because you have to rely on your defense to help you win. And,
right.
And I would say Marino is the exception in the sense where the organization never put him in a place, He never had the defense that could help him win, to put him in that position. Then he never had a top 15 defense. So that's what I'm saying. But I can't put him in that room. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I can't. So you got to win the chip. And, I think Tomlin has that urgency. I'm trying to get Cam a chip. I'm trying to get, a chance to win a chip. I'm trying to get TJ a chance. Look, it's about the chip. And I know a lot of people hard on the Steelers. We're spoiled as Steelers fans. I'm not spoiled, but we're spoiled as some Steelers fans are spoiled. But look, man, you can't win it every year. It's 32 teams in the NFL. For me to be spoiled, complain, when down the road Cleveland has never won.
Yep.
The Lions never won. Cincinnati Bengals haven't won. And their fan bases are loyal. Cleveland fan base, that's one thing I respect about Cleveland. Their fan base is loyal, which is crazy. Because I don't know if you talking about patience? Oh, no. I would have been gone. I would have took my challenge out. You know what I'm saying? I would have been out. So, it's just perspective. You got to pay TJ. Let's just keep it real. You got to pay him. Got to. It's the market.
Yeah. And I feel what you're saying, Jack. You said it's not about his past, it's his future. I feel I'm not going to discredit your opinion. I feel what you're saying. Because you're looking at it from I'm just saying, I don't, I'm saying this in my own words. I'm assuming you're saying, I don't know if he's going to be that going forward. That's fair. But like I said, this is the business. And again, going back to what I mentioned earlier about Steelers Depot and Dave Bryan talking about the cash limit and all that. Apparently the Steelers are sitting there with this huge chunk of cash that they should spend. And it's, they have these limits and cap and all of that for a reason. Like, unless you just want the team to just hoard it, but it's, it's the business. That's all I can say. It's the business. TJ Watt is still productive, and it's just the business. Otherwise we're just saying, okay, don't sign him. Have him hold out or whatever, and it's just the business, man. That's all I can say. But I understand your point. But like I said, I used to be the same way, and I was like, man, it's just the business. Look at the NBA and these numbers these dudes be getting, and I'm like, what? No disrespect to nobody, but there's a couple dudes out there. I feel like if I was 7'1", I feel like I probably could play better than them.
Tim, you ain't gotta be 7'1". Come on, man. Come on, man. I see it look, man. You know me. I don't get into we don't talk basketball here, but I don't know some of y'all in the chat, but I played at a certain level. I know pros. I grew up with pros. Where I grew up, I grew up in Inglewood, California. That is like a hotbed for a lot of NBA talent that's come out of that city. We know what it's about. Look, man, it's some dudes. I'm keeping it real. It's some dudes out here in the NBA right now. Some kids. They are stealing money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like literally stealing money. Like it's the craziest stuff. But as Sim said, it is the market. It is what they're generating to do that. You know what I'm saying? Until that league starts to suffer, which they are with ratings, and the contracts will go down, but it won't because TV makes it. That's where they're getting their money from. So in streaming. So it's I agree with him. Yeah, it's a lot of woof. Yeah, I don't even want woo. Oh my God. I mean, I see it. I go to, my nephew's going to be really good. Hopefully one day he's in that situation, but
it's crazy,
the money
man.
is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And I keep telling y'all, man, y'all don't want to believe me, man. And again, I have no proof of this, but I think it's an educated guess. While we feel like things ain't worth it, and while we feel like we haven't won this and won that, the money, the Steelers are at no shortage of revenue. And what continues to bring in that revenue? People coming to see TJ get a sack off a Renegade and stuff like that. The owners are always winning. Man, listen, Art Rooney told you himself, and the other Rooney, forget his name, the other one said it. Hey, if you look around the league, for the last, we've done really. Yes, they said exactly what I've been telling y'all. The money is still a business. Yeah, they would love to win a Super Bowl. They would love to win a playoff game. But Mike Tomlin's job is not in jeopardy until if the Steelers were to go 0-17 for 4 seasons in a row. Other than that, as long as they're right there in the mid-tier, winning seasons, ching, ching. That is winning for the organization, especially since you're one of 2 teams that has 6 of them things. You see what I'm saying? And I hate to say that to us as fans, but that's the reality. That's why you pay TJ Watt and whoever else.
Yeah.
So we can't just, again, like I said, I wasn't always like this, guys. I just started maturing as a fan, and I'm not knocking saying you're not. I'm just saying I started to see it different. And like Kenya said, maybe it's just because of the being on the management side, I kind of see things like, okay. We can't lose sight of that, even though we're going to have our expectations and wants as fans, but you can't lose sight of the fact that it's a business. So you got to pay him, man. You know what I mean? If you want him now, if you don't want him, that's a whole different conversation. That's why I said if that happened, then we're going to have another show talking about, whoa.
Yeah.
But if you want him, you're going to have to pay him.
Yep.
It's just that simple.
I mean, he top 3 defensive outside linebacker / edge in the league right now. I mean, you can put whoever you want. You can say Myles Garrett. You can say Micah Parsons. And TJ Watt. And then after TJ Watt, you could throw in. You could put Henderson. He had a great year. You could put what's the kid and with the Raiders? You can put him in there.
Oh yeah, Crosby. Yeah,
all those dudes to me. That's your list. And gotta pay him, bro. It's market value. Because when he walks in the room and they sit down and discuss contract, they're gonna look at your resume, your production, and your resume. And TJ can walk in the room and say, "Look, man, I want Defensive Player of the Year. I broke the sack record."
Yeah, like I said, Jack.
Self-explanatory.
I respect the opinion. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying all I'm saying is I understand why him possibly being paid, why it would happen. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not trying to predict the future to say he's gonna mess up the future. That's too far. That's out of my pay grade. I'm just making a case as of understanding why he would be paid. As far as everything else, like I said, if the Steelers decide that they don't want to do that, then okay. Then maybe what you're saying, they feel the same way. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But that's it, folks. I don't think I have nothing else to cover, man. Yeah, it was definitely a shocker. I didn't. It wasn't like everybody else said. It wasn't on my bingo card. I would have never guessed that yesterday, Minka Fitzpatrick would be traded back to the Dolphins in exchange for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. The draft picks really don't matter, but I definitely would not have thought that. I thought each one of those things could possibly happen independently. Not Minka, but I'm thinking, okay, the Steelers trade for Jalen Ramsey. It was smoke, people were saying, okay, maybe there's some fire there. Jonnu Smith, same situation. But I did not predict Minkah Fitzpatrick being traded, A, because of who he is, and B, because of the position. And now I'm like, whoa, I didn't see that. So we'll just have to see what they do, man. Yeah, and I seen Pickens already put something on social media talking about to Minka, yeah, man, back to beautiful places. And don't go running with narratives, y'all. Like, I already seen it. Y'all already know who they blame. I ain't even got to say it. Y'all already know who's to blame for this. Oh, it's Tomlin. Oh, I'm like, dog, what? Yo. Far as we know, Minka might have asked for this. Far as we know, maybe Minka won't in the plans no more.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. Maybe Minka will say when he interviews with the Dolphins, but I just don't do this. I don't do the pointing the finger at people when I have no clue. I don't. Omar Khan is not dumb. The Rooneys are not dumb. I mean, this happened for a reason, and maybe we'll find out, and maybe we won't.
And it's all speculation. So, like, it's all speculation. We're not in the room. We don't know what they're talking about. So it's all whatever we get from certain sources. And, you know, I love Minka, but, you know, sometimes you got to part with certain players. You can get a better pack. If you tell me I'm getting 2 for 1, and then the one player I'm getting is my equal, but then I'm getting another piece on offense, I don't know, man. And I ain't got to give them nothing but a 2027 pick, a swap. I don't know about y'all, man, but it's 2 lines. It's gonna be a short line. There's gonna be a long line. I don't know what line you're gonna be in, but I'm gonna be in that long one. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. So, you know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't see them trading TJ. That'll be 3 big moves in all season. Think about it. DK, you know what I mean? That'll be 3 big splash moves, and that'll be crazy. You know what I mean? And people are talking about this is like if you think about it, break it down, this might be the biggest trade since Bettis.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. So, hey man, I like what Omar Khan doing. And I don't want to hear no more complaints. I don't want to say it was Steve. No, Omar Khan.
Hey, we want it different.
He's not Colbert.
Yeah. We want it different. We got it. I mean, whether we agree or not.
Yep.
This is definitely not, it ain't definitely not my father's grandfather, whoever, anybody in that lineage. It ain't none of those, the Steelers that they watched. This, I've never seen nothing like this.
Yeah, I've never seen this. And I've seen, yeah. This OG ain't seen this one. I've been there, I've seen a lot, and I've never seen them make this type of moves. Not like this. Nah. And to me, to be honest with y'all, I think they're gonna make a big movement. I can't wait. I don't want to think ahead, but that next draft, oh my God, they're gonna make some moves. It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy.
Crazy. So, buckle up.
Well, good people, gotta run, gotta go play dad. So, hope you all enjoyed. Appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Of course, always appreciate when Kenya can jump on. And I have a feeling there's going to be a reason for a steel table again in the near future. So we'll keep these coming. Y'all know the routine, man. If you haven't already, here it is right here. If you like the content, hit the like button, as well as consider subscribing. But if you don't do anything else, if you're already subscribed, make sure you turn on the notification bell so you know when these videos are up and running, as well as, you know, pre-posted or pre-production videos. Other than that, same spill. Y'all stay safe, stay healthy. God bless. Good night. Like always, thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in, and I shall catch you guys in the next one. Peace.